We're going to go mobile on this one. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Bush League Huddle Fantasy Football Podcast. What's up, everybody? How we all doing today? Podcast. I am not in my normal setting right now. As you can see, there's no Funkos behind me. There is a child lion. I'm currently on the road right now, but we're still coming at you every single week, regardless of where we are right now. Going to bring you guys some excellent fantasy football coverage like we always do, because that's what we're here for. Coming at you live and also recorded, but live and on Spotify and on YouTube and on Apple Podcasts and on TikTok and on Instagram and Twitter. So those are places you got to follow us if you're not following us already. Don't forget, hit that like button, hit that follow button, hit that subscribe, share, retweet, follow, send us comments, all that fun stuff. We're here every single week breaking it down for you for every week of the season, all season long. I'm Fab. We got Roger. We got Nac. Today was a big day. Today was the NFL trade deadline, and I don't know if you guys noticed or not. We're just gonna do a quick little tangent, if that's okay. The Jets lost like all their defensive players, but still kept Bryce Hall, which I think is hilarious. They didn't get the draft pick return that they wanted for him, asking for a third. Kansas City offered a fourth, didn't really work, and all that stuff. But just quickly, some notable fantasy related names and where they moved to and where they're going. So we got Jakobi Meyers that went from the Raiders to the Jags. So that's very interesting from a quarterback standpoint. We got Raheed Shaheed, also known as Nick Burris' son. He went from New Orleans Saints over to Seattle. So Seattle is turning into a juggernaut right now. So if you have Sam Darnold, you're very happy about that. And we got A.D. Mitchell, who went to the Jets. Still, I think it could be some importance, but we don't know just yet. And we also got Kyler Murray that went to the couch with a new copy of Battlefield 6. Ouch. We got to throw in a little bit of a shot for Kyler Murray over there right now. You know how it is. The guy's going to be out for the next 4 to 8 weeks, but whatever. Jacoby Brissett's balling, so who cares? But listen, we got a jam-packed show for you guys like we always do. We got a massive segment right now that Roger's going to take us through the opening drive with a whole lot of great awards for the season. Super fun stuff. Nac's going to go through the love and hate like we always do. Going to keep us honest on our record to see how bad some of us did and how good the other ones did. Bad being myself, but that's okay. On to week 10, right? And guys, it's week 10. We're week 10. Listen, now we're in double digits. Now it's legit. Now it's like if you're 3-5 or 3-6, whatever it is, and you're looking at the other at 3-6, if you're looking at the other end of the spectrum right now, I can't do math, and you're trying to figure out how you got to figure out some trades. You have too many
3-6 teams. That's why I found.
We have a lot of 3-6 teams in our league, which speaks to the parity and also to the lack of quality, I suppose. But anyways, you listen up to this episode. I'm going to have a lot of fantasy nuggets for you for the remainder of the season. It's going to be very, very important, very, very educational for all you fantasy players out there. So without further ado, listen, I'm going to stop talking. My name is Fab. We got Raj coming up right now with the opening drive. Nac's going to close us off with the love hates. Roger, take it away.
Yes, it's award season. We have awards and galas coming up, maybe in your offices. We're going to have some awards in Hollywood too. But now we're going to do mid-season fantasy football awards. So we're halfway through the season. It's time to hand out some hardware. The Bush League Huddle mid-season fantasy awards. The studs, the busts, and the guys who came out of nowhere. First up, the U1 award, Fantasy MVP. So these are the guys basically who carried you to a 7-2 record. You probably don't need a waiver claim. You probably don't need to get anyone on waivers. You probably have maybe only made 10 moves all year. So the nominees for this are Christian McCaffrey, Jonathan Taylor, Jaxon Smith-Njigba. I would say CMC and JT, they've been the gold standard. RB1 and RB2, they've pretty much flip-flopped over the season. CMC just overtook Taylor after week 9, doing it through the air with 61% receptions in PPR so far this season. On the other side, JT's got 12 touchdowns and nearly 100 yards per game. He's been bruising his way through almost every single defense. And then JSN, he's Seattle's wide receiver 1. He's been the WR2 basically all season, almost at 1,000 yards, 4 touchdowns, 73% catch rate. We had him there over Jamar Chase just because of more efficiency. I would say for us, the winner on this, and we've added a little Christian McCaffrey.
There it is.
I think the ultimate PPR cheat code, plug, play, profit. He's had only one dud game over the past basically entire season. He's been pretty much at over 23 points per game in each game. I think this is an easy one, guys, for to call.
For sure, easy one for me. I mean, you could have gone Jonathan Taylor, and it wouldn't have. I don't think it would have been the wrong answer, but I would definitely agree it's CMC.
It can't be anyone else, to be honest with you.
I think what I just said for me at least, that was the key thing. Whereas Jonathan Taylor's kind of had like 3 games where not necessarily duds, but ones where he didn't get to even 15 points in the game. I think
Last
CMC's
week.
just been more consistent, and from a PPR's perspective, he's been absolutely awesome.
JT has 12 touchdowns on the year, right, so far?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to say he's touchdown dependent, but his
No.
ranking does reflect the fact that he's got more touchdowns than everybody else and their cousin, right? So that's
He's got a
baked in.
couple of games that were 3 touchdown games too, right?
He has
Exactly.
3. He has 3 games or 3
of them.
touchdown games.
3 of
And
them.
the schedule's been tough. And if you factor in all the guys that have been missing in San Francisco, offensive line, no Brock Purdy, literally no wide receivers, it's
No,
it's pretty
CMC's
easy.
getting it done in the air, which is most important because on the ground right now, I think he's even averaging like under 4 yards a carry, which is not
Yes.
CMC at all.
Yeah.
61
it's
receptions though at going
Crazy.
into week 10 is crazy.
He's wide receiver 1 and a running back 1.
Nuts.
He's vintage CMC.
Yes, I've been enjoying him all year long.
As am I in another league.
As am I in another league.
Go CMC, go.
Yeah, go CMC, exactly.
We'll move on to the Can't Quit Him award, the biggest bust of the season. So the players who keep starting out of habit, even though they've broken your heart every Sunday. The nominees are Brian Thomas Jr., Kyler Murray, and Nico Collins. Obviously, there could have been way more players that we've added here, but we've narrowed it down to those 3. Start with BTJ. He was a top 10 wide receiver last year, actually finishing wide receiver 5. Now he's WR 39. He leads the league in drops. He's going to miss time with a high ankle sprain. He's having a hard time connecting and having chemistry with Trevor Lawrence, having a hard time going over the middle. Then you have Nico Collins. I think he was a sleeper pick to finish as WR1 this year. He's dealt with injuries, inconsistent play, and he's currently the WR34 this year. Quick stat actually from our friend Ryan Heath, who we love his data. Basically, any time that the Texans play a team that applies a lot of pressure, Nico Collins is basically a WR in the WR30 range. When they face a team that has no pressure, he's basically a top 10 wide receivers. So something to look forward to in the coming weeks in the second half. And then we have Kyler Murray. I think we all said it in this podcast. It was going to be a make or break year for him, and it hasn't happened. He hasn't finished higher than QB 16 once this season, and now it looks like he's going to be benched going forward for Jacoby Brissett. So for us, the winner in this one is, I think we got to go with Brian Thomas Jr. I think he's been too talented to drop, too inconsistent to trust. He's definitely been at an ADP of, probably WR7, second round, you probably picked him at. And I think next year will probably be a really good discount pick at round 5, which he's definitely not going to hit his current ADP next year.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Is next year you'll get a huge discount on him when he breaks out.
Yeah, but he's going to have another quarterback throwing to him.
Yes, I think that's the biggest issue with him, for sure. We'll move on to the Highway Robbery Award, so the best value pick. So these are the players who were drafted late but are producing elite numbers. They basically could also be, from the guys you're going to hear, comeback player of the year, actually. So the steals of draft day, we wrote these guys off. So the nominees are Daniel Jones, Matthew Stafford, and Javonte Williams, who's been really, really good this year. So Daniel Jones was drafted as the QB 31 in the offseason, and he's now sitting at QB 4. An amazing redemption arc coming from the Giants. Then you have Matthew Stafford, who was drafted at QB 23, now playing as the QB 9, proving that his arm and back aren't cooked yet. And then you have Javonte Williams, the RB 36, now RB 5, thriving in Dallas, looking like the guy who we thought he would be in Denver. These were all players who were left for dead either on their previous teams or even with Matthew Stafford on their current team with the Rams. So the winner for this one, I think it's easy for us to call this one. And I think, Fab, you're the one who never wavered on him. It's going to be Daniel Jones on this one.
Daniel Jones?
Daniel
Jones? Yeah, I mean, it's just goes to show you how horrible of an organization the Giants are. The fact that he is playing as ridiculously as he is. Also, it goes to show you how much of an influence Kevin O'Connell can have in a short amount of time. Like, it's just like Daniel Jones and how well he's performing in the little 6-month period he had under the tutelage of KOC. You see it also with Sam Darnold too. So yeah, it's
Don't
but
forget,
Javonte Williams though to me is just as much of a surprise. I think.
don't forget Shane Steichen.
Yes, I was just
Yeah,
gonna
Shane
say.
Steichen too. Got to
For
give him
Daniel
props as well.
Jones.
Yeah,
They're playing to his strengths, right?
you're
They're
right.
not asking him to do too much, I feel. But yeah, Javonte Williams, that was going to be my next point. Is he could have easily won this award?
Yeah.
I think everyone wrote him off, and no one was predicting top 10 numbers or even now top 5 numbers from him in Dallas.
Oh,
I'm
except for Jerry Jones.
I'm happy you mentioned Steichen because he probably unlocked Jalen Hurts' best season. And like when you watch the Colts, their wide receivers are always open. It's crazy how good of an offensive play caller he is. We'll move on to the I'm putting 60 on him award. So the waiver wire hero. So the guys who started the season invisible and turned into must starts overnight. The nominees for this one are Rico Dowdle, Harold Fannin Jr., and Keenan Allen, surprisingly. So Dowdle was pretty much 5% owned until week 3. Now he's been the league's leading rusher over the last 7 weeks, 700 plus yards in 5 games. He's currently the RB9 and basically only started 3 or 4 games. Then you have Harold Fannin Jr. coming out of nowhere. He's sitting at tight end 13. He's been legit streaming gold. No one could have saw him basically overtaking David Njoku as the tight end 1 in Cleveland. And then you have Keenan Allen. He was drafted in roughly the 15th to 18th rounds. Another guy who was completely left for dead, and he's currently wide receiver 10 on the year, still carving up corners like it's 2017, showing the chemistry that he has with Justin Herbert. Very hard one to pick, but I think we all have to agree the winner here is Rico Dowdle. Especially for anyone who had Chuba Hubbard, it's been very clear that he's been the better back this year. They've kind of put aside the new contract for Chuba and realized that he's been the better player. If you look at week 9, Dowdle outsnapped Chuba Hubbard 42-13 on Sunday. And I think he has a great outlook for the rest of the season.
Yeah, and we were saying it at the beginning of the year. Dallas had this guy in the building and went out to get a Javonte and a Miles Sanders when you had this guy and actually produced well towards the end of last year. Also, so yeah, definitely no surprises that it's Rico Dowdle.
Yeah, totally. We'll move on to the Hidden Gem Award. So the sleeper of the year. These were late round dart throws that actually hit. Quickly nominees: Cam Skattebo, Bill Krosky-Merritt, Woody Marks, Romeo Dobbs, and Alec Ayomanor. Honestly, this one doesn't need a drum roll for me. I think for all of us, it's we're going to pour on out for Cam Skattebo. I think he's currently RB12. He had a profound impact on the team, not only from a rushing and receiving perspective. He still has more catching or caught passes than Breece Hall, Jalen Warren, and Travis Etienne. So he was probably going to be a maybe in the top 3 of for Rookie of the Year. So very unfortunate what happened, but nonetheless a great first portion of the season for Cam Skattebo. And then we'll move on. We have 2 categories left. We have the Snooze Button Award. So these are sleepers who never woke up. We have only 2 nominees here. Honestly, it's hard to choose which one. We have Caleb Johnson and Matthew Golden. Caleb Johnson had a mid-round ADP. Nac, as you know, I think you drafted him in the 8th round in the Bush League huddle. He only has 40 rushing yards all season. This is a player that we thought, kind of had a little Le'Veon Bell jump cut vibes in terms of that zone read offense that Arthur Smith deploys on the running game. And then there was Matthew Golden, first round pick in the NFL draft. He flashed early, but also still no TDs, just 1 game over 60 yards and only 50 receiving yards total over the past 3 weeks. We're going to give them a drum roll. They don't deserve it. But for me, it's Matthew Golden.
Without a doubt.
Just because of all the talent and all the expectations, the first wide receiver that was drafted by Green Bay in the first round in over 20 years since Javon Walker. I had to cut him loose. I couldn't do it anymore.
And it's not like they have like a CD Lamb or a Justin Jefferson on the team that could take away targets for him. It's just that I feel like they're not finding a way to use this guy, and it's strange because their wide receiver core is kind of, we've mentioned it before. It's all WR2s and WR3s, right? There's no alpha on this team, and everyone thought this guy was gonna explode.
I never want a Packer wide receiver again. I'm not doing it anymore.
You're making a list of a lot of things you're never going to do next year, huh? Never draft a quarterback in the first round. Never draft a Green Bay wide receiver.
You're the one who said that. You're the one who said you're not drafting quarterbacks.
Well, that's true. You've been saying that for the last 3 years. My bad.
Well, technically, he's been doing it except for this year, which still shocks me.
This is a great segue to the last award that we have. This is my favorite one. This is the one that makes us all look the worst. The Keeping Receipts Award. We effed up. Players we were totally wrong about, especially during our preseason takes, during our divisional previews. We have to own our L's. We were down on these guys for whatever reason. We should not have been down on them, but they've basically been top 5 to 7 at their positions. So the nominees are James Cook, Puka Nacua, and Etienne. Yes, you heard that right. We were down on these players. Yep. Cook is 3rd in the league in carries, 4th in touchdowns. Puka's been awesome despite getting injured literally every game. He's top 7 in as a wide receiver. And Achane's been an absolute PPR menace, and his hamstrings and his calves have held up as well. This was probably the toughest one we had. And just one more thing. I think we probably could have put CMC in this one as well. I think we were all very, very worried about CMC and his hamstrings. This is one that we could have easily put in as well, but we all decided on Etienne as the winner. I think being RB4 with the roster he currently has and the mess of a coaching staff is some type of miracle. And he's been matchup proof regardless of the opponent and game script.
He's RB3.
RB3, thank you.
Could have called this award the Nac.
Yes, we could have. We
Is it because you take so many L's?
No, it was more about the receipts, but
no, we can't call this one the Nac because you don't call receipts when it doesn't suit your narrative. That's it for the Bush League Huddle midseason awards, the cheat codes, the heartbreakers, the waiver heroes, and the ones we flat out whiffed on. Fab, Nac, enough trophies. Who are we loving? Who we hating? Who we starting? Who we sitting? Nac, take it away with week 10. Love, hate, please.
Yes, sir. Thank you. That was Roger with the opening drive. Now, time for the segment you've all been waiting for, our love, hate segment going into week 10. This is the segment where we take all of our players that we love and that we hate at the position, which ones you should start or sit ahead of others. So without further ado, we'll go through our love hates. But just to remind everyone of the week 10 buys coming up here, you'll have the Bengals, the Cowboys, the Chiefs, and the Titans. So quite a few fantasy players that are going to be on benches this week. So our record this week was 8-7. So we are on the positive side of 500, which is still very good. Overall record 66, 62, and 2. So we are still on the plus side. Fab, I'll start off with you. You went 2-3 in week 9. You missed out on your Bam Knight love and Tyrone Tracy love. You did hit on your love for Colston Loveland. Had that nice little bomb at the end of the game in Cincinnati. You missed mightily on your hate of Rico Dowdle. I believe he'll never be on this hate list again.
Nope. Rico, I apologize.
And you did win on your Alvin Kamara hate. I don't think he had 1 point. I think he finished with 0.9, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, that's Alvin Kamara.
It's time to cut.
It's something that nobody wants to see, quite frankly.
Yeah, it's just going down really bad. It's just bad offense, and they haven't been able to get him going. Rod, you went 3-2. You hit on the loves of Joe Flacco, who almost put up a 40 burger. Also Jacoby Brissett. I know we had Kyler Murray or Brissett in here. Brissett continues to look good in that offense. You hit on your hate of Aaron Rodgers, but missed out on the hate on Bo Nix and Dalton Kincaid. Bo Nix, I think it was just over his
Yeah, he was pretty
his
bad. I think like the touchdown saved him, but it was it was rough outing.
definitely saved him. And finally, I went 3-2, lost on Malik Washington on Thursday night. Thought he was going to be more involved. Did hit on DJ Moore, and I did hit on my hate of Keyshawn Booty and Cortland Sutton. Cortland Sutton had that one catch that was a touchdown, but missed on my hate of Zach Ertz, who didn't look very good on Monday night. I don't think the whole team looked pretty bad on Monday night. So without further ado, we'll get started with our players we love and hate, and I will get the ball rolling here with the QBs this week. So my first QB that I love this week is going to be JJ McCarthy, QB 15 versus the Ravens. So although he didn't really light it up last week from a regular football wise, but he did what he did at Michigan. He stayed on script and made the big time throws when he needed to, especially on third down late in the game. So turned that into 22 fantasy points very quietly. And although he has yet to play a solid 4 straight quarters, I think having KOC will help him or will keep helping him moving forward. And the Ravens have been playing a QB better in the last 3 games, but they have not faced a receiving core like this yet this season. So I think McCarthy is very startable in 2 QB leagues in Week 10. And I think I'd start him over the likes of Aaron Rodgers, Tua, even Mariota, who's going to be stepping in for Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, I thought he looked good in the 3 to 4 key throws he had to make. And if you look at his 3 games outside the Atlanta game, say the Atlanta game, he had like 5 fantasy points. He's averaging 21 fantasy points if you factor in the Chicago game and the Detroit game. And I think you're seeing remarkable improvement game over game. And you said it, it's not going to look pretty to start, but the talent is there for him to just need to make like 3 to 4 throws a game.
Yeah, and that's what he did at Michigan. So if they can just channel that and keep that flowing, I think he has very good chance to succeed.
It's a great matchup too versus Baltimore.
Yeah.
My next starting quarterback that I love this week lost, like Fab mentioned, all of his defensive players. It's going to be Mr. Justin Fields, QB 16 versus the Browns. They're definitely going to be behind, likely early and often. So that's the game script is going to go into his favor. And Aaron Glenn, he thinks he's smart not naming a QB, but I'll let you guys all in a little secret. Fields will start on Sunday. And like I said, after unloading Sauce, adjusting to see what they have in Justin Fields before the year is done, because, I mean, starting Tyrod, I don't think makes any sense at this point. Back in week 8, the Browns gave up 50 rushing yards to Drake May and 30 fantasy points. So I think Fields comes back from the bye and balls out and potentially auditioning for a new home in 2025. I think I'd start him. I think I like him even over Jordan Love this week, who's QB 14.
I like that call. I think it's going to be a lot of work for Fields on his on the ground this week. I think he's going to be doing a lot of work, a lot of scrambling. You're going to see. I don't know if you're going to see any RPOs necessarily, but I think this is much more of. I wouldn't be surprised if he has more rushing yards than passing yards.
That's
But I do like this call, especially if you consider versus Jordan Love has a very tough matchup too. I mean, yeah, it's this makes a lot of sense.
if somehow the Cleveland offense is able to get ahead and the game script doesn't favor the Jets, though, I think it'll be a tough struggle for Fields, because he's not as good of a QB when he has to play catch up. And to your point, Fab, like he can't really rely on the RPO.
True, but I think they are getting Garrett Wilson back this week, which is definitely going to help him from that standpoint. Because if you look at the 2 weeks where he only had like sub 50 yards passing, I think those are the weeks where Wilson was not there.
I think we could potentially see his first 100-yard game this coming Sunday.
Wilson hasn't had 100 yards yet
on the ground.
81 was his highest rushing total.
No, Wilson. Justin
Fields. Oh yeah,
rushing.
I don't know, man. Like that Cleveland defense is still pretty good. Like,
still Cleveland.
Yeah.
That'll do it for my loves. The QBs that I hate this week. First one is going to be Bryce Young, a QB versus the Saints. So, as we know, Bryce has not been that great in fantasy in 2025. So, it showed some bright spots earlier in the year, but since week 2, he has yet to top 200 passing yards and has thrown for multiple TDs only twice in the season. So, he's not a huge runner either, has only 78 rushing yards on the season. And he finished with 250 rushing yards actually in each of the past 2 seasons, and he's currently on pace to finish with just about 150. He's also scored under 12 fantasy points in 4 of the 8 games played this season, and even in a better matchup with the Saints, I'm out completely on Bryce Young until further notice. To be quite honest, I think I'm going. I'd rather go and give Mac Jones another shot, and even Penix over Bryce Young.
He has not fared very well against New Orleans in his career. Like just looking up the historical stats, and the New Orleans defense actually they've competed pretty well. So I like this call.
And my last QB that I hate this week is going to be Trevor Lawrence, QB 24 at the Texans, excuse me. So he's been very consistent in his past 4 starts, even scoring 2 rushing touchdowns on Sunday. But he's about to feel the wrath of the Houston Texans defense on the road. So although they have allowed Mac Jones and even Bo Nix to put up 20 fantasy points in the past 2 weeks, the wide receiver core is hurting. As we mentioned, BTJ is going to be out. No Travis Hunter. They did pick up Jacoby Myers, but he's going to have to come up to speed. So, too many injuries, I think, and too many new faces to continue with the solid numbers, I feel. And if you have other options, I would sit him even in 2 QB leagues. And once again, maybe try to get a Mac Jones or a Penix into your lineups if you have them over Trevor Lawrence.
It is hard to disagree with that. I mean, the only reason why he had a decent stat line last week was because he had 2 rushing touchdowns, and the only reason why he had a good stat line versus Kansas City was because he had 2 rushing touchdowns. So I don't think Trevor
woke
Lawrence.
Him up. We woke him up.
He's on my team.
We talked about Trevor Lawrence.
He's on my team. I got to start him this week. I got to start him this week. I'm not a fan of it.
I saw his eyes light up as soon as I saw Trevor Lawrence.
I'm not happy about it. Nope, not happy at all. Nope. Trevor Lawrence was one of the. I'm going to keep the receipts. This is one of the guys I'm never drafting again in my life. I really thought he was going to have a good year. Anyways,
yeah, I really thought he was going to have a good year too.
I thought he was going to have a better year than the first 3 years. 4 years. Sorry, this is his 5th year, right? Has it been 5 years already?
It's 5.
Fifth, 5 or 6.
It's 5.
Yeah. We're already year 5 of Trevor Lawrence. My goodness.
He was drafted 2021, I believe. So it's 2021.
It's Houston defense, regardless of who's playing them. It's Houston defense. Very good defense, and he has no weapons, mind you. It's not as if Brian Thomas Jr. was catching anything to begin with, but still.
Would you play Tyler Show instead of?
That's where I draw the line. I saw it. I wanted to. I was going to mention that. I don't know. I'm not starting. Carolina's defense against the pass has been pretty good. So
their overall defense is.
They stifled Jordan Love last week too, right? So
you guys saw that awful pass he threw.
He threw more than one awful pass.
Oh my God, that was the worst.
I'm very.
Worst interception ever.
I am lukewarm on Green Bay Packers being an NFC powerhouse.
A lot of people are. Yeah.
Very lukewarm.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That will do it for the quarterbacks. Raj, why don't you keep the ball rolling with the running backs that you love and hate this week?
Thank you, Nac. First love I have is RJ Harvey, RB24 at Las Vegas. He is quietly heating up. So RJ Harvey's not blowing anyone away with snap share at this point, but the dude keeps on producing. He's caught a touchdown in 3 straight games, or has had a touchdown in 3 straight games. And he actually just posted a 14% target share against Houston. As we know, and Nac, as you mentioned, one of the best defenses in football. We know Bo Nix loves checking down, especially to his backs, and Harvey's become his safety valve. It's a bit of a dart throw, but I'm riding the hot streak. And if you've held on to Harvey, he's starting to pay dividends. I like him over the likes of Zach Charbonnet, Alvin Kamara, Tyrone Tracy Jr., and Mr. Bill Krosky-Merritt this week.
Love the call.
Yeah, same. All on that. I like Harvey a lot.
And I think, Fab, you've been saying it a lot, like he's really been the Joker instead of, or I mean, you say J.K. Dobbins, but I think
it was J.K. Dobbins. Yeah, it was
Harvey too. I think they're using him in a way where, like a lot of stuff out of the backfield, obviously running as well. I think he's fit the role that maybe Evan Ingram was supposed to have. Second love I have is Kenneth Walker III, RB25 versus Arizona. We're talking about a post-bye bump being real. So we said it a few weeks ago in the opening drive. Hold on to Kenneth Walker III. He's going to start heating up after the bye. And I think that's exactly what's going to happen. He finally outsnapped Zach Charbonnet for the first time since week 4, 57 versus 35. He ran more routes. He saw more targets. And he dominated inside the 5 touches at, I believe, 65%. He's looked way more explosive overall than during the year. Charbonnet just went 8 for 25 against a really mediocre Washington defense, while Walker was clearly the guy. Obviously, love him over Charbonnet, but even the likes of Travis Etienne and Kimani Vidal this week against a Cards defense that allowed a similar type of back in Javonte Williams to go 15 for 83.
Nice.
Speaking of Travis Etienne, he's one of my hates this week, RB20 at Houston, just showing that volume doesn't necessarily equal production. So Etienne got 22 carries last week, most of the season, but just turned it into 84 yards. He got stuffed on multiple goal line and close yardage plays, and he lost touchdowns to Bashul Tutin and to Trevor Lawrence. Despite all the volume, he scored only 2 touchdowns all year. He actually just had 2 touchdowns last year as well, and owns just a 14% inside the 10-yard carry share over the last month. He's one, I've said it before, he's one of the worst short yardage backs in the league, and he shows to have a really poor touchdown rate as well, as we're seeing right now. So running hard but not cashing in. I'd rather start the likes of Kyle Monangai or David Montgomery, who are both RB26 and RB23 respectively, over Travis Etienne Jr. And then finally, I have Kimani Vidal at RB18 that I hate at Pittsburgh. Stay away from the steel curtain defense because it might be back. So Vidal's been boomer bust. Just 2 great games and 2 duds. And last week was the latter, a pretty big dud. Yes, Joel Alt was out for a ankle injury, but he still only managed 30 yards on 12 carries against the Tennessee Titans. That should be a prime matchup that he should have exploited. And things don't get any easier there. The Steelers just shut down Jonathan Taylor, and Vidal only saw a 57 rush share, losing work to Jared Patterson as well. With Pittsburgh front peaking and Joel banged up, I am out. I would sit Vidal for the likes of Trevion Henderson, Kyle Monangai, David Montgomery, as mentioned, and even Rachaad White, depending on what happens with Bucky Irving, who might be back, but I could see Rachaad White still keeping 3rd down touches.
Henderson, eh?
Yeah. That one's a surprise. Kyle Monangai is going to score like 14 touchdowns this weekend versus the Giants.
He looked good.
He did look very good.
Really did.
Very good.
He really did. Well, how come you don't like Trevion Henderson? I don't remember who said it was Fab or
Well, we
Nac,
both did actually, but it's not that we don't like him. It's just there's so much uncertainty within that backfield that it just gives me a little bit pause. But I would prefer Henderson over Vidal. That's
I don't think
for
he
sure.
scored a fantasy point in the second half last week.
Yeah,
that guy Jennings though,
the usage is weird. And Jennings, what's his name? The coach really likes Jennings.
Yeah,
basically
talked him up a lot.
He likes every single running back that's not Trevion Henderson.
I thought Henderson was going to score 25 points last week. He started off hot, 12 points in the first half, and then I don't think he scored another fantasy point in the second half, which is weird. Strange. Thank you, Raj, for the running backs. Fab, who do you got on the wide receiver side?
What's up, everybody? How we doing? I got DJ Moore as my first love versus the New York Giants. Surprise, surprise. So DJ Moore has been on a heater lately, and he goes up against probably the worst defense in recent weeks. Giants secondary is still decimated, and they've been bleeding points ever since the 4th quarter collapse versus Denver back in Week 7. They're currently giving up the 7th most fantasy points to wide receivers. This is as much of an auto start for a guy ranked outside the top 12 as you're going to get, in my opinion. Fantasy Pros has him ranked as wide receiver 21 in PPR, and I much prefer him over guys ranked ahead of him like Deebo Samuel, Stephon Diggs, Zay Flowers, just to name a few. I think he's knocking on the door of wide receiver 1 for me, like overall, like top 12 for me this week. I love the matchup, and for me, I'm starting him everywhere.
I think he's starting to find the chemistry back with Roma Dunze and with Caleb Williams, and Roma Dunze's dad is pulling off Odell Beckham Jr.
Yeah, I saw that.
It,
But
not
that
a
was
good look.
it's very uncharacteristic that Rome didn't get any points at all. I don't think it's going to happen 2 weeks in a row, but I do like the fact that DJ Moore is being involved in the offense in general. Like just the fact that obviously he's playing wide receiver, but he gets a lot
He played
of runs
quarterback
and all
too.
that stuff, and he threw a touchdown pass last week. So I don't know. I just think that's good, and you like the fact that he's being used in a multitude of areas, and versus a very porous New York Giants defense, I don't see how this won't equate to fantasy production this weekend.
Yeah.
My next love is Jordan Addison versus Baltimore. So piggybacking on UNAC a little bit
Just
with
taking
JJ
my wide
McCarthy.
receivers in Bush League.
This is not a reverse Cornute. I hope you do well this week.
I don't believe in Cornute, so it's fine.
Oh, perfect. Fantastic. I just happened to fall this way, Roger. Maybe I just like your team. But I hope everyone plays well. So Jordan Addison versus Baltimore. Bit of a deeper play coming in at a ranking of wide receiver 29 on Fantasy Pros, but Addison has been pretty solid since he came back from his 4-game suspension. And he gets a very nice matchup versus Baltimore where he could bring back some solid fantasy dividends. Baltimore give up the 5th most fantasy points to run to wide receivers, 4th most receptions, and 8th most receiving yards per game. TDs might be an issue, but it's still a matchup worth exploiting, especially in a tough bye week. I definitely like him more than some guys ranked before him, like Quentin Johnson, Keenan Allen, Wan'Dale Robinson, and Chris Olave.
Oh, over Olave, huh?
Yeah, I don't like the matchup. You're going to find out why in a second.
His target share has been concerning a little bit. Four targets in each of the past 2 games.
There's always that one game where he blows up.
Yes, every year.
And now that I'm telling you guys to start him, it's not going to happen.
We call it the Jordan Addison game.
The Jordan Addison game. This is the reverse of the Devontae Smith game that I had a few weeks ago.
In 2023, he had 2 of them, San Francisco and Cincinnati. I think last year was the Green Bay one.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think it was the Green Bay one last year. And in Chicago too.
I'm going to move on to my hates now. So my first hate is Chris Olave, the aforementioned Chris Olave, who I would start Jordan Addison over. So Chris Olave at Carolina. So Shaheed is gone. So that means more targets for Chris Olave, right? Sure, I can get on board with that. But Carolina are actually a really good pass defense. They're giving up the 4th least amount of points to opposing wide receivers. So Shuck is going to have to chuck it early and often for Olave to kick back some returns on his wide receiver 23 PPR ranking on Fantasy Pros. You know how long it took me to figure that out? Shuck is going to have to chuck it. It's a bit of a tall task for the rookie. I seem like Shuck was building more of a rapport with Shaheed in his short NFL experience, who is now gone. This is like a tongue twister.
You're struggling, man.
This is so difficult.
Struggling.
This is so difficult. I put this all together and I didn't even read it through first. Anyway, so there are guys that are going over him that I like more over Chris Olave. Khalil Shakir, like I mentioned, Addison. Juwan Jennings I like this week. It's a good matchup again versus the Giants. And Jamo has a sneaky good matchup versus the Lattimore-less Commanders, which I think could be very interesting from that perspective for the Detroit Lions. So I'm not a fan of Chris Olave this week.
J.C. Horn's an absolute stud. He's showing one of the best cornerbacks in the league, so he probably gets that assignment with no other.
He's going to get all the attention in the offense, which I think is going to obviously reduce his. It's going to increase volume, and you want volume, but I think it's just going to be a tough day for Chris Olave. And my last hate is DK Metcalf versus the LA Chargers. The Chargers. It's a tough matchup for DK. The Chargers have surrendered 4 touchdowns to wide receivers all season, 2nd least. 7th least receptions per game, and are giving up the 6th fewest fantasy points to wide receivers. It's a tough matchup, I think. He's also underperformed pretty badly in the last few weeks, and quite frankly, ever since his bye week. The last 3 weeks, he's commanded a 17% target share compared to 25% in weeks 1 to 6. So DK has yet to hit double-digit targets or secure more than 5 catches this season. Fantasy Pros has him ranked as a wide receiver 27. I can't disagree with that ranking, but there are guys after him I'm more interested in, like I mentioned, Shakir, Addison, Juwan Jennings, even Josh Downs, who's been on a bit of a TD streak at the moment. I think he has like 3 in the last 3 weeks. He's been looking pretty well. DK, I don't know. Today. He started off really hot, just lately hasn't been there. And I think last week he ended up with like 2.9 fantasy points. It's hard to. It's weird.
Calvin Austin's look good.
Yeah. I don't think it's so much DK's that's been bad. It's just more that the other receivers have been have been increasing their game.
Rogers is just spreading the ball around.
Yeah, I
There's a
think that's
lot
what it
of
is.
different receivers. Like when you go look at the box scores, like there's so many different receivers that catch passes or tight ends that catch passes. So tough to get that volume on that like one receiver.
For sure. And just a honorable mention, if you guys permit me. I know we mentioned Brian Thomas Jr. There's a chance that he plays this week. And if he does, just sit him because already he's playing against Houston. And he's also dealing with, yes, I'm saying to sit Brian
Just
Thomas
sit
Jr. Because he's dealing with a high ankle sprain injury. It's mild, whatever, It's like, listen, this has re-injury written all over it if he plays this weekend. So just look elsewhere, please.
I like Parker Washington a lot.
So do I.
I like him a lot.
Yeah, he looked really good last week.
He looked good. Thank you for the wide receivers, Fab. Why don't you keep it going with your tight end that you love or hate this week?
Well, just because I don't like Chris Olave doesn't mean I can't like Juwan Johnson. So actually, Carolina, I know I had a hate on Olave, but Carolina are a much better matchup for tight ends that they are than wide receivers. Johnson has quietly put up top 12 numbers in the last 3 weeks, which is surprising. When I looked it up, I was like, he's been very, very consistent. He's not blowing the roof off the doors, but he's been pretty consistent at bringing you back like startable value and startable numbers. So he might be being slept on, and more targets should be heading his way, which Shahid's departure. Definitely worth a flyer consideration with the buys this week and even season-long lineup lock as well, I think. Fantasy Pros has him ranked as tight end 23, which is nuts to me considering his recent form. I definitely like him over a bunch of guys ranked ahead of him like Theo Johnson, Hunter Henry, Kyle Pitts, Mason Taylor, and Evan Ingram, just to name a few. He's buried all the way at the bottom of the rankings. I'm not really sure why, but he's been really, really good just in the last 3 weeks.
I have him as tight end 20. PPR.
Okay. Well, maybe it changed.
It must be the shock factor.
I suppose.
And honestly, I really disagree with that decision. I don't think Spencer Rattler was that bad. I guess they're doing it just because they need to see what they have in him because they're probably going to pick a QB.
The season's done. So
yeah.
Have to see
for
what
sure.
got.
But I agree with you, Rod. Spencer Rattler actually wasn't that bad at all. I thought the leash was way too short.
Yeah, Nac, if you're one of those players, you're like, well, this guy doesn't look good. Like they still want to eat. They still want to get their numbers. So
for sure,
exactly.
Yeah. They're incentivized to get receptions and touchdowns and yards. That's probably baked into their contract. They're not stupid.
Raj, what about you? Tight end you love or hate this week?
I absolutely love Dalton Schultz, tight end 17 versus Jacksonville. I'm doubling down on the Daltons. Last week, I faded Dalton Kincaid. Now I am loving Dalton Schultz. He's been quietly one of the most reliable tight ends in football this year. 38 catches on 48 targets, both top 8 among tight ends. The only issue why he's pretty low is because he just hasn't scored a touchdown yet. He's gone 9 for 98 and 6 for 77 in 2 of his last 3 games, and he faces a Jaguars defense that just let Brock Bowers drop 12 for 127 and 3 TDs on them. So I like him even if Davis Mills starts. I think Schultz will stay heavily involved. Pretty much like him above a lot of the tight ends that Fab said, Mason Taylor, Evan Ingram. I like him over your Juwan Johnson too, Fab. No offense, but I think Dalton Schultz finally gets a touchdown is in a prime position, and we even added him in our waiver post today.
You want to do a little board bet, Roger? Who finished with more points this week? Juwan Jennings or
let's do it?
Juwan Johnson or Dalton Schultz?
Let's do it.
How much?
Yeah.
How much?
A lunch?
Lunch is fine. For me, it was more of a. How can I embarrass you on the podcast next week? But yeah, fine. Let's do a lunch. Let's do a lunch.
What are you thinking?
I don't know this off the top of my head right now. Maybe. You know what? Let's just do a lunch. Let's keep it simple. Let's keep it civil. Let's keep it civil. But I do think that Juwan Johnson will have. Actually, I was comparing Juwan Johnson to Dalton Schultz, and I was like, no, I like Juwan Johnson better. And just by the by, since you're doubling up on Dalton's, just remember that last week you had a hate on Dalton Kincaid, and that worked out so well for you. And now you have a love on Dalton Schultz. And let's see if the juju doesn't go backwards for you. That's all. That's all I'm going to say.
I wasn't sure where I was going, but yeah.
That's all I'm going to say.
I mean, that's what I said. But.
I will end it off with a tight end that I hate this week. It's going to be Luke Musgrave versus the Eagles on Thursday Night Football. So After losing Tucker Kraft to a torn ACL in week 9, Musgrave will be thrust in as the new starter. And although he should likely be added in all formats, beware of the matchup in week 10 versus the Eagles, giving up the third fewest points to tight ends through the first half of the fantasy season. They've only given up 1 touchdown through 8 weeks, and the most yards allowed were 61 to Travis Kelce back in week 2. Since then, they've capped tight ends to 43 yards. So don't expect Musgrave to hit double digits this week, even with Kraft on the sidelines. And I actually do like Juwan Jennings and Mason Taylor ahead of Luke Musgrave.
That game's going to be on Monday Night Football. We don't want people to tune in on Thursday and see the Broncos versus the Raiders.
Monday Night
That one
Football.
You could skip.
Yes, you
Hey,
can.
the Broncos versus the Raiders is a fantastic Thursday night game.
Are you gonna watch? You're gonna tune in to watch Geno Smith? Oh,
I'm gonna tune in to watch my boy.
Anymore.
I'm gonna tune in to watch my boy, the new wide receiver one for the Denver Broncos, Mr. Troy Franklin Jr.
I feel like you're regretting that Geno Smith drop.
I was, and then they traded Jacoby Myers, and I'm like, not as much as I was before because I don't know. Like basically, whatever receiving yards and touchdowns Brock Bowers gets is going to be Geno Smith's stat line. That's how I see it.
Trey Tucker and John Beck?
John Beck.
John
Beck.
He's going to be...
well, they weren't going to re-sign Jacoby Myers anyways.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
He didn't want to stay there. They might as well get some value for him.
That'll do it for the love-hate and also for this week's episode. So guys, please don't forget to subscribe and follow on all the social media platforms. That'll do it for us for our week 10. Good luck to everyone, and we'll see you next week. Raj, cue the music.
What were you thinking in terms of this bet?
I feel like
the worst one.
I wanna write your love-hate next week if I win.
You mean write my love-hate?
Like you write, like I write something for you, and you have to read it on like one of your loves. Like I got
Saturday Night Live Christmas episode.
Yeah, 100%. That's what it was. That's exactly where my head was going.
Oh, that's fine. Let's
exactly
do that.
Where my head was going.
Let's do that.
And you don't have to be Michael Che. It's fine. But I'm just saying it would work best.
Do what he did to Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah, because where's Stelios? Who's Michael Che?
Who's Michael Che?
Who's Michael Che?
Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye, everyone. Peace out.
Goodbye.